Throughout history, nations have gone to war over land, over who has the right to what. And some of the toughest disputes to settle have often been those about islands and reefs. Iran and UAE disputed islands in the Gulf. Argentina and the UK went to war over the Malvinas, or Falkland Islands, and also disputes in the South China Sea. Over the hundreds of islands and reefs here called the Nancha Chundao. Though China has sovereignty here, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia and Brunei have relevant claims on parts of the islands and sea. The South China Sea is an important region. It's one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. A lot of merchant fleet by tonnage sails through here every year. It's a rich fishing ground, and there could be large quantities of natural gas and oil here too. With so much at stake, it's not surprising these disputes over relevant islands and reefs are so heated. In July 2016, a temporary arbitral tribunal in The Hague found in favour of the Philippines in her dispute with China in the South China Sea. China doesn't accept or recognise that award. So what's China's case? According to international law, there's a series of principles to confirm territorial sovereignty. And China's claim to Nancha Chundao is based on all three criteria. Number one, who discovered, named and exploited these islands? China has documentary evidence that Chinese fishermen and navigators sailed the South China Sea and had discovered and named the islands by the 2nd century BCE. By 1405, when Chinese explorer Zheng He visited Southeast Asia, his charts showed Chinese names for the islands. Local navigation guide Gung Lu Bu, used here from the 1600s, shows how well Chinese sailors knew these seas. Over 70 features have Chinese names. Directories to the South China Sea, published by the British Admiralty from 1868 to 1937, record that Chinese fishermen from Hainan Island lived on the Nancha Chundao, harvesting tortoiseshell and sea cucumber. In 1933, French magazine Le Monde Colonial Illustré described the life of the island's only inhabitants, Chinese fishermen. They planted coconuts and banana plants, dug wells and kept chickens. They caught tortoises and harvested guano. The 8th century Old Tang geography shows the South China Sea Islands as part of the Tang dynasty's administrative territory. Then in 971, the Song dynasty established an imperial navy and conducted military patrols in the South China Sea. And from then on, the islands and reefs were directly controlled by China. From the 18th century, official maps always included the islands and reefs as administered by the Qing Empire. During World War II, Japan occupied the islands and reefs. But in 1945, the Allies declared that all Chinese territories taken by Japan should now be returned to China. And so it was that in November 1946, the Chinese government sent 4 warships to re-establish Chinese authority on the Nancha Chundao and Shisha Chundao with solemn commemorations. China formally issued the map of the South China Sea islands within the dotted line. No objections were raised by other countries. But as the countries bordering the South China Sea gained independence, they began to stake claims to the islands and reefs. 1970, the Philippines sent troops to 3 islands. 1975, Vietnam starts its occupation of some islands and reefs at Nancha Chundao. Since 1983, Malaysia occupies 5 islands successively. 1984, Brunei claims rights over some of the southern Nancha Chundao. By the 21st century, the parties in the South China Sea needed to find a way to resolve the dispute. So in 2002, China and the ASEAN countries signed a document known as the DOC, a commitment to resolve territorial and jurisdictional disputes through friendly consultations and negotiations by directly related sovereign states. The Philippines' decision to initiate the South China Sea arbitration broke the principles of the DOC. Despite this, China maintains her commitment to peaceful negotiation. After all, since 1949, China has successfully negotiated agreement on 12 boundary disputes with her neighbours. from the southeast with Myanmar to the far north with Russia. For China, it's clear that negotiation and consultation is the only way to settle the disputes in the South China Sea too, for the good of the continued prosperity of all the countries of the region.